Kia ora, talofa lava, and welcome. That was a rather challenging introduction in terms of the state of our housing markets. But I am Vui Gosche, the Chair of Kāinga Ora Homes and Communities, and coincidentally I'm also the Chair of Counties Manukau DHB, and thank you for the Ministry of Health people for highlighting one of those wonderful projects. Didn't have a completely smooth delivery, but we're very pleased with the outcome that you've highlighted today. So today I'll outline how Kāinga Ora came about and what we do currently and where we're headed. Finally, I'll talk about how we're going to work in partnership in the urban development space. And I also want to do a little bit about in the presentation as to why this is so important to us as a society, not just as people here with an industry interest. The establishment of Kāinga Ora about a year ago represents the biggest institutional and legislative change to housing and urban development for a generation, bringing together the three organisations and functions. The impact we've been asked to have on New Zealand and New Zealanders' lives is far broader than our previous roles. The 6 outcomes we're responsible for are on the slide. These were co-developed by the 3 legacy agencies and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Some of this work is well underway. For some outcomes, we're just getting out of the starting blocks. First of all, you'll know us best as New Zealand's largest residential landlord, providing tenancy services to around 187,000 public housing customers and maintaining around 66,000 public houses. Our operations as a public housing landlord have been refined and improved over a long period, but there are still significant developments in this space. We've got the biggest build program for a generation, a significant spike in demand for public housing, and we have a focus on wellbeing imperatives. This slide, if you can see it, I hope, outlines some facts and figures about our assets and our customers. You'll receive the presentation, so you can look through these at your leisure. But 2 things to note. Our applicant and customer base has changed significantly over the years, from mostly nuclear families to larger families, sole parents with children, and single-person households. This has led to an oversupply of the standard 3-bedroom houses and an undersupply of smaller 1- or 2-bedroom houses and larger houses with 4 or more bedrooms, resulting in both overcrowding and underutilisation. Household crowding is the main driver of infectious diseases such as rheumatic fever. These diseases are a significant reason for hospitalisations. The second aspect is that many of our customers have high and complex needs, such as loneliness, mobility issues, or are faced with challenges in mental health, addiction, or family violence. We want to provide those with specific needs with a tailored service or home so they live well in their communities. Some metrics on our current housing delivery and investments are on this slide. New Zealand research has shown, for instance, that ACC payments can be reduced by about 1/3 by remediating existing homes. We have committed to an initial $500 million investment to bring our older homes up to modern standards by lifting the thermal efficiency through insulation, ventilation and effective heating. We'll make the homes fit for purpose by opening them up and making as many as possible more accessible. Our retrofit investment not only provides warm, dry, healthy homes for our customers and reduces the risks of home injuries, but also provides significant investment in jobs for the regional economies where these homes are located. And I want to acknowledge my fellow speakers, Carl, Chris and Alison, from the 2 ministries. Health, education and housing are the bedrock of New Zealand society with deep interdependencies. The main effects of housing on health and wellbeing have been determined by the WHO in 2018 as household crowding, cold and damp, excessive heat, hazards in the household leading to falls and accessibility issues. Cold and damp in existing housing, which leads to mould, is caused by lack of insulation and heating and poor ventilation, which leads to increased risk of respiratory infections, cardiovascular and infectious illnesses. Unsafe homes contribute to higher rates of slips, trips and falls, noting that the main tenant is 65 in over almost a quarter of our state housing tenancies. Injuries from trips and falls in the home are responsible for most ACC payments. There's strong evidence that improving housing quality significantly improves a range of health and social outcomes, particularly educational. For our younger residents, the stability of a family home via a state home with security of rental tenure is key to kids' educational attainment. Improved health through insulation and heating means fewer absences from school, and secure tenancies in healthy homes help to ensure that families can stay in one home for longer, so children have continuity in schooling, build secure relationships at school, and benefit from learning. I'll update you a bit on our apprenticeship program, where we're placing trainees with build and development partners while providing them with the support they need to be successful. And our maintenance contractors are also stepping up. By way of example, Spotless provides work experience on Kāinga Ora properties with a special focus on getting Māori, Pasifika and young women into the trades via its Mangere Cadet program. Spotless is also aiming to increase the number of its trade staff in apprenticeships or training from the current 6% to 20% over the term of its contract. And our other contractors throughout New Zealand are opening up opportunities for workers in this area also. Turning to our legislative framework, the Kāinga Ora Homes and Communities Act was passed in September 2019. The Act sets out our functions and operating principles. A second piece of legislation, the Urban Development Act, passed in August this year, is an important tool to enable our urban development role and supports communities to thrive socially and economically. In essence, the Urban Development Act is designed to give Kāinga Ora powers to facilitate development through these mechanisms: shorten planning and consenting processes, funding powers for infrastructure and other development activities, bringing together parcels of land for development, reconfiguring reserves for better use, and protecting Māori urban development interests. The Act establishes a new type of urban development, a specified development project, or SDP. These projects will deliver significant housing supply in high growth areas and ensure growth is planned and managed to give high quality urban outcomes. The Act enables Kāinga Ora to exercise a wide range of development powers with respect to funding, infrastructure provision, land assembly, and planning within these specified development projects. This will provide greater certainty for communities, developers and investors. For most developments, traditional council consenting processes will continue to be the best way to go. But for large and complex projects, for which it is very difficult to make progress under traditional pathways, an SDP may be an option. Kāinga Ora is now open to receiving proposals for SDPs from potential developers. We are putting in place the resources and expertise to carry out our role under the Act. Our role is to assess and evaluate any SDP proposals, then make a recommendation to ministers about establishing the project. Ours is very much a partnership model to facilitate and enable projects, as well as progress our own developments. And you can see more about this on our website. If you have proposals, talk to us early so we can help assess the best planning and consenting pathway. Kāinga Ora has a number of people here from our Urban and Development and Planning team, and if they're in the room and I call out their name, I just ask them to wave out. Caroline McDowell, Claire Kernan, David Cleland, Jeff Mills, David Ison and Giles Bramwell. If they're not here, if they haven't jumped up, Ross Pennington said look out for Kāinga Ora people because they have a glint in their eye. So they are very keen and very capable of asking any of your questions, so please seek them out. Turning to procurement, we have developed a new social and sustainable procurement plan, which has 4 broader outcomes in conjunction with commercial outcomes when procuring. 1, consider and provide for Māori interests. 2, empower thriving communities. 3, boost workforce developments and employment opportunities. And 4, be a leader in environmental sustainability. Other ways we're working with the industry to deliver our capital programs include continuity and greater transparency of our pipeline, multi-year contracts to give our suppliers certainty, building skills and capability as per the construction sector accord, with over 180 apprentices with our build and development partners and subbies, and bedding down the Mates in Construction program, which has been successful in reducing the suicide rate in Australia's construction industry. New Zealand has the worst, for an industry, the worst suicide rate in construction, and that's a challenge we have to all meet together. And lastly, paying 95% of our invoices within 5 days since the start of COVID-19, which I know a lot of government agencies are trying to do better on, but we have been very good at doing so. Many of you have been involved in the development of our new construction plan, including a workshop at this conference yesterday. The plan, now called Building Momentum, has 5 focus areas of partnering: innovation, sustainability, delivery and design quality. It will help us to improve the way we deliver new state homes and become a centre of excellence for residential construction, and ambition Kāinga Ora is still on a way off achieving. So that's my presentation, and I'm not sure whether I was supposed to be available for questions, but as I said, look out for the people from Kāinga Ora with a glint to their eye. Please approach them and answer many questions. Finally, I'd just like to say, in wrapping up what I think has been a really important session of bringing the 3 agencies together, I once worked for a fairly important boss by the name of Helen Clark, and Helen Clark, as you know, was a Minister of Housing and a Minister of Health, and she said she did more for the health of New Zealanders in her role as Minister of Housing than she did in her Minister of Health role. So I think it's been good to bring the 3 organisations together just to show that the reason why we do these things is so important to us as a society. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.